the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard. Now take the politics out of it. It was a cool car.
Yeah.
It sounded good. It was great. And when I grew up, I wanted a '68 Charger. I did, and it was a great car. There's
Although
cars,
wasn't Dukes of Hazzard's the thing that practically killed off the Charger because they crashed so many of them in filming it?
Yeah, they made them rare.
They crashed like 5 of them or something. Like
So
It's like the same people like the same type of restaurants that make food popular and also eliminate that food because they've killed all the population of said food. That's what happened with Dukes of Hazzard and the Charger.
it's like going to an Outback Steakhouse and then going, "Where's all the cows?" Wait, no, they've been killed.
We killed them all.
On Outback Steakhouse.
I've actually been to Outback, and that was a lackluster steak. I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed.
I have never. I wanted to go, but I hear bad things about it, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to my locally owned steakhouses.
Texas Roadhouse is also pretty good if you have that there. I love that place.
If I wanted,
Wait, Cody, what kind of steak did you have?
Probably a sirloin at Outback, something like a 5 ounce or something.
Something like it's not too fatty though. It's not like a
That one might have been.
It's not like ribeye where it's all fat.
Yeah.
Wait. What? Hey, we've gone into Food Tribe now. Look.
Yes, I was about to say. Tonight's on the Food Tribe special.
You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna split this podcast into two. I'm gonna have the close stuff, and then we can do like a food one, and we can just keep on this conversation.
We're gonna have 4 episodes by the end of today.
I know, depending on how this goes.
Film for like a month. I'll just split all the episodes into like little segments.
Now, look, ribeye.
Great, we can work out the logistics of you guys coming to the UK.
Right. Ribeye is my preferred cut of steak. Okay. Sirloins are good, T-bones are okay, but ribeye is where it's at. And what you need, why ribeyes are good, well, if all this comes with, I say that if you want a good steak, you have to make it yourself. That's the only way you're going to get it. And so you're going to trim that fat, especially your outer fat. Look, I've ate at steakhouses. I know what they'll bring you. They bring you that thing that's got a rind of fat down the edge of it that it takes away half of what you're paying for. And you throw it in the trash. You cut that before you make it. But ribeyes have good marbling, and that marbling is what keeps that steak juicy. So when you cut into it, it allows that juice and that flavor. Fat is flavor. You can't deny that. And you have that marbling in there, so you get that extra flavor. That's what makes it tender, because all them juices are rendering down inside of it and keeping inside of the steak. And if you ever ate really lean meat, you will know what I'm talking about. It has a tendency to get a little drier. It has a tendency to be a little bit tougher because it isn't being cooked in its own fat in the same way. So I got to defend the ribeye for a minute. Just like if you've ever had A5 Wagyu, okay, when you buy a Wagyu steak, it looks like a piece of fat with a little bit of meat marbled into it. But then once you cook it and you eat it, there's nothing better. There's nothing better because that fat renders down and cooks out. And in a proper A5, when you put it on your countertop, because you let it come to room temperature before you cook it, as it's coming to room temperature, you can actually watch the steak melt. It will literally start melting at room temperature. And I have never seen meat do that until I ate my first A5 Wagyu steak. And it was weird. But man, there's nothing better. I have a top of the line ribeyes, and an A5 Wagyu ribeye cannot be beat. You will be spoiled, and that will be the only thing you want in your life. It's fantastic.
I need to try that.
But going back to the ribeye, I have had both ribeye and a filet mignon, and I have to say, okay. Ribeye, okay, it's not a bad cut of steak, but when you get a filet mignon and you season it with salt and pepper and you let it sit out for like 12 hours and you let those spices soak into that uncooked meat, and then you cook it on a stovetop in a cast iron pan.
Amen.
For 7 minutes. My dad has done this countless times, and it is still the best steak I've ever had. I think it's about 6 or 7 minutes on each side, and it is the best freaking steak.
That's like
so much better than any ribeye I've ever had.
I think that cast iron that's the only thing we cook with is cast iron. I always say flame cooked is the best. Anything that's been flame kissed is always going to taste better, especially if it's on an actual wood fire and not just propane. Big flavor differences there. But I had a steak my wife cooked, and it was a ribeye, of course, because that's mostly what I eat anyway. And it was cooked in butter and rosemary in a cast iron skillet. And let me tell you, a sprinkle of salt, that butter, and that rosemary is all you need. And that will be a steak you can literally take a fork and pull it apart and eat it. It's amazing.
Oh,
so good.
See, I've always said that the true test of a well-cooked steak is if you can cut it through with a butter knife.
Mm-hmm.
You don't take one of those fancy steak knives. You take a butter knife, dull as a thread from your kitchen drawer, and you cut it, and it just falls off.
Mm-hmm.
That is it.
And that's a great point. That's how it should be. I mean, and okay, I'm going to go off on a little pet peeve rant thing here. One of the things I hate about a steakhouse is they bring you this steak and they give you this steak knife that's all serrated and all this to help you cut up your steak, and it can't cut the steak they bring you.
Yes!
How many times I have been in a restaurant, ordered a steak, I threw their knife aside and pulled out my pocket knife to cut my steak because their knife can't get through it.
Oh my!
Now you'd be arrested in the UK for that.
That's communism.
The most.
No. The best thing at school dinners at my school, it is a race for the metal knives, because there are a certain amount of metal knives, and then if you miss them, you have to have the plastic knives. Have you guys seen that video where Clarkson tries to cut a steak with those plastic?
Yes.
Those exact knives and forks, and I think the knives are even more flimsy than the one he used, are the ones in my school. So if you don't get in line first, it's first come, first serve for the metal knives. If you miss that first line, you might as well eat with your hands. They are useless forks. Like, I have to double them up. I have to double up both the knife and the fork to get a cut in.
That's terrible. I feel you though, Doug, because I'm already at a handicap. I'm already left-handed. I already have difficulty cutting as it is. If their knives can't cut anything, nothing will for me.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And I have gotten quite a few I've even had waiters and waitresses come up to me and look at me because I got my pocket knife out. And if you ever see my pocket knife, you'd understand, I guess. To me, it's just a normal knife. But anyway, they, why are you using that? We gave you a knife. Was it dirty and all that? I said, no, it's just too dull to cut through what you give me. I mean, it couldn't cut through my mashed potatoes. Why in the world do you think I'm going to whittle on a piece of steak with it? And they don't get it. It's like, okay, I get it's safe because it's safe. But if you can't, look, you got to be able to cut the meat they bring you, you know. And if you can't do that, then just don't bother. Just don't bother. Just, take it back. And my other thing is, okay, another pet peeve. Go into a steakhouse. What's the first thing they ask you? Do you want A1 or some kind of steak sauce with that? And my first response is, oh, please God, don't tell me the steak's that horrible tasting that I have to put that crap on it.
Would you like some HP sauce with that?
No, I don't.
Oh, no, it's supposed to be a well-cooked steak from this steakhouse, which I'm paying $45 for. I don't want to put A1 or HP or some other kind of sauce on it. Hell no.
Here. Now, I'm a plain bugger, though. I more often than not don't put anything on my food for the most part.
Right.
But barbecue sauce, I'm okay on that. I haven't had enough of it. But for a steak, it's like, no, I just want the steak. Like, the meat should be flavorful. That's the reason why I'm getting a steak. Like, if I'm getting a burger, okay, cheese, pickles, like some of that to kind of sweeten it up. A steak,
That's
no.
a little bit of mustard, yeah.
I'm not a fan of mustard. Not for me.
Okay, but
So for a steak, it's like just
yeah.
leave it. It's a steak.
Yeah.
You eat
It's
it for the
good.
natural flavor. And that's why I think the best thing you can do is I put a little cayenne and just a touch of salt. Call it good. That's all I need. I had a friend who, me and him were similar. We both love steaks. And so when we got together, it was always, hey, let's have steak tonight. And we'll chill and play video games and eat steak. I mean, yeah, just how we work. Anyway,
Yeah.
but he would get this KC Masterpiece barbecue sauce and literally drain the entire bottle over top of this steak. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just drink the barbecue sauce?
Dude, don't say that.
That's what Colin says.
Drink the barbecue sauce.
Dude, I've seen someone drink ketchup in a restaurant before. I've actually seen that happen. It was a little kid. They took the bottle off and just dunked it. They dunked it like liquor. It was hot sauce. It was hot sauce, dude. I think it was sriracha. They dunked the crap out of it.
I've seen someone like have a meal at a restaurant and they get some mayonnaise with it and some french fries, and instead of dipping the french fries in the mayonnaise or like putting something in the mayonnaise or using it to flavor the food, they just eat the mayonnaise on its own.
No.
My friend, I'm not gonna name him. My friend sometimes puts the salt out on the side and then dips it in like a sauce when he's eating chips. The salt.
You can't do that, but that. Yeah.
That is one hell of a sad day. I mean, please.
No, like both of us don't normally eat sauce. We normally just saturate our food with enough salt. But he does dip it in like, as if it was sauce.
He must have been
And the thing is, when you do that, you only get it on one side of the chip. So one bite is completely covered in salt, and then the rest of it's just
The rest of it's plain.
yeah.
So, that's like when you see people in a restaurant and they're dumping an entire bottle of ketchup on a steak. And it's
You know
like,
who would do that?
oh,
Is the editor of Food Tribe, Rachel Hogg. She puts, if you've seen any Food Tribe YouTube video, she puts everything. She has everything with
I only watched the James May
chicken,
ones.
steak, Christmas dinner,
egg,
anything,
don't
mashed potatoes, anything.
James
Ketchup.
May made me buy and try salad cream, and I actually enjoyed it. So
I've been trying. Tuesday I went out and I bought a bunch of like British like meal standards, and I've been. If you've seen my posts on Food Tribe, you've seen that I've been making some, Branston pickle I've been experimenting.
I don't like your own. So I
I
normally
can
just go.
just say salad cream is pretty good.
It is good,
Pretty
isn't
good.
it? It is good. It does taste. Yeah, it is good. It's not something you'd eat.
With like an
Like-
egg salad sandwich, that's good. That
That's a
was
small
$2.
meal. That's a small
Yeah.
meal.
Yeah.
but
Like I have coleslaw, which is like some salad pieces mixed in with a ton of salad cream, and then you eat it. It's good.
one thing I would love to have explained to me is the infatuation British people have with plain canned beans. Just open up a can of beans and eat it. That is the most
Yeah.
disturbing thing in the world. And you all eat it with breakfast, lunch, dinner. You guys put beans on everything.
I don't eat beans. I only eat beans in a jacket potato. I don't eat them anything else. But my sister does it. She
Yeah.
just dumps. She
Hey,
just dumps.
can I
Has
just
it on
say-
bread. Has it on its own sometimes. And we don't have plain. We have tomato flavored beans. Well, not tomato flavored. Tomato sauce covered beans and stuff. Which is what the Heinz is. Which is the most
Yeah.
common one. You guys know what Heinz.
Yeah.
So
See, I tried those yesterday for lunch, and I put some, like, chopped tomatoes, some salt, pepper, and some HP sauce. It wasn't bad, but I have to say, if I'm gonna do it again, which I kind of have to because I have 2 cans of beans left, I need to put some meat or some cheese or something in there.
I eat them in a jacket potato. A jacket potato, put them in a jacket potato, put a little bit of butter with it, and then put out whatever else you like. I normally have a plain because I like plain food, but if you like having more flavour, you put whatever else in the jacket potato. I like
I'm
Jack
gonna put
taste.
some cayenne pepper, some kind of shallot pepper. So like I'm gonna add some spice or something.
Yeah.
When you
It's on their own. Ugh.
when we make baked beans, first of all, it's barely beans anymore. You talk brown sugar, little barbecue sauce. You're going to add some cayenne for a little bit of heat. You're going to add either bacon or ham or both. Possibly a little bit of a fat from one of them. Fat's flavor, man. It gives.
In the UK,
Bake that till it fits.
in the UK, that probably wouldn't be called beans anymore. Make it salt, pepper, put it on something else. That's a job done.
So, by the time we bake them, they're thick. They're not runny. You can scoop your beans up with a fork and put them on a plate. And
We try that.
I see you guys eat it. It's cringeworthy. It's just cringeworthy.
I mean, but the thing is, when you have it on a plate, it doesn't look that bad. It looks like, okay, that looks somewhat appealing. And then you eat it, and you're like, no, this needs more. It needs some cayenne pepper. It needs some sauce. It needs cheese, ham, bacon, chicken, anything.
It's a blank canvas you start with. It allows you to take off in many directions and go. You don't just eat the blank canvas. You just
Yeah. No painter is gonna take a blank canvas and stick it in the MFA.
That's it.
You're gonna paint some stuff on it, make it look nice, and then stick it in a museum.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone bought a blank canvas for lots of money though after seeing the red brick on top of the orange brick painting sell for God knows how much. From what my sister tells me, because she likes art, it's not really art. It's just because if you put your money in paintings, you avoid lots of taxes. So they use it as kind of their own bank. So it's kind of just a tax evasion scheme. All those crap arts are worth lots of money.
Did not know that.
Apparently.
Speaking on the beans, though, we have like an Amy's. I call it a queso. It's kind of like a black bean kind of queso thing.
Right.
And so I'll put that in a little pot, and then we have like a ghost pepper. What is it? Is it ghost pepper? It's some pepper chili thing. I'll put that in. I'll put some cheese. That is some of the best queso I have ever had. I don't put that much in it, but it's from the box. It's pretty flavorful. It's so good. It seems very unhealthy though. I can tell.
You know what is good, actually? We're talking about experimenting with food. I once tried, taco meat on top of mac and cheese.
Oh yeah, hamburger mac and
cheese.
Yeah.
That is some of the best stuff I've ever. It's so good.
Yeah. That and smoked sausage. Get smoked sausage, cut it up, and then whip it into your mac and cheese.
First of all, scrambled eggs for breakfast.
Scrambled eggs in mac and cheese. Oh no.
No, not. I meant sausage. Scrambled eggs.
Okay.
I didn't mean eggs and mac and cheese. That's just hateful.
Do you guys get?
Yo,
you know what?
Do you guys get any?
Speaking of eggs and pork, my dad makes this little dish. I haven't had it in a while. I'm not that big on eggs, but I know sacrilege. What he does is he gets bacon. He makes a cup out of it, pours like the yolk and a little bit of the yolk into this bacon cup, cooks the bacon and the egg together, and it's a cupcake of bacon and egg.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing. It's pretty good. I maybe only have it twice.
Cupcake mouse made out of bacon is probably the most American sentence I've heard all year.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you know when you have like little cupcakes and they have that paper wrapping, but bacon and then egg in the middle.
Yeah,
it's amazing looking. It really, and it tastes pretty good too. If I was more of an egg person, like my sister or my dad, I'd eat that one. It's so.
Yeah.
I would have that.
Do you guys get British candy around where you guys? Yeah, British candy. We call it sweet, but
like,
any you?
Like what?
We don't have a lot of
Maltesers, Mars bars. No.
Nah.
Not so much.
Have much candy as it is, so I can't talk about that.
Also,
Don't eat candy.
I think this This was a good idea. You're not allowed to advertise sweets to children on children's channels, which I think was a good idea. It curbs the obesity rate and stuff.
At the very least, they should make a detuned version of the candy so that they're not going to send their kids. Not going to give them idea of what it's like being high.
It's outright banned to advertise. No, kids can get candy, but it's banned to advertise it to kids. So you know all the massive adverts you guys get to advertise it on kids' channels.
Oh,
we don't get those.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
So the kids don't get addicted to candy straight away.
Well, let's face it. The most addictive candy there ever was, well, I don't even know if y'all know, back in my day was the Pixie Stick, which was nothing more than sugar in a straw. And what was you? Well, they even, you cut the top off and you just all of it all at once. And they come of like 30 to a pack. And usually you took off with the whole pack.
At our school.
You took a full pack and a pair of scissors and you just...
At our school, there is an economy based on sweets. Some people, buy sweets at shops. And our school's supposed to be cashless. It's supposed to be on a card thing, so you can't go out and steal and be a bully and steal people's lunch money and stuff. But a lot of people bring in cash to buy sweets off other students. And I hope no one who can recognise my voice and who is my school hears this from the teacher's side, because otherwise I've ruined this entire economy by saying this, because it's all not supposed to be
You have a little candy smuggling ring with cash.
Yes,
that's what you got.
Yes, we
Black market of candy going on.
This is the candy mafia.
I'm